this Bill Burr situation going rampant on Reddit. I saw talking about the young guns in comedy. Here we go.
The product gets her. I see it in stand-up comedy now. You know, like you see it. When I was coming up, it was like there was always people trying to like write an act to get a sitcom or to get on the Tonight Show. Like they had an angle, but like most people were trying to get good at being comedians. And I feel like my generation would be doing what this generation was doing if what they have available to them, they would do. But now, like, analytics has even gotten into like stand-up comedy. And it's just like, okay, crowd work. Okay, get some more numbers. I got to sell tickets. Get a special. Chop up the special. Post the clips. Do this, do that, or whatever. And it stops being about like, becoming a good comedian. I'm not shitting on younger comics either. I'm just saying, because my work now is affected by that. People are telling me, oh, you got to do this on Instagram. You got to post. That's why I'm posting those fucking stories on the thing. People, you got to do this. All right, I guess I got to fucking do this. I don't know. So I think, I don't know what I'm saying here. I just think I'm kind of going to fucking tap out.
Oh, that's so Burr. That's such a Burr moment right there.
Yeah, it really is. It's an interesting point of view coming from like an OG like that, where he's basically like, man, it's not even about being a good comedian anymore.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I think it's a interesting perspective, because I think very similar to what Stefan said about corporate comedy, is that the expectation is just different. I think we have this high expectation that it has to be polished. You got to do 45 minutes. It's got to be corporate clean. And then Stefan takes corporate comedy and does 15 minutes of comedy and then sprinkles it with improv and things that make the company look good. And it's like, oh, you're just redefining what the experience is. Right. And I think that's kind of what's happening with comedy, is that, I mean, whatever you want to call it, but the influx of comedy, technology, social media is redefining what people find funny and redefining what people find to be the standard definition of a comedian. So even established comedians that have material, to get people to come to their shows, you got to put clips out. And you don't want to burn your material because that's your bread and butter. So you put out crowd clips to get people interested, be like, oh, he's funny. That'd be fun to go to a show. And then you get to the show, you're like, man, he's a real comedian. Bow, kind of thing. But also our attention spans are smaller. Like I think it's all just about shifting with what's happening in the world itself as well. Like, we are where we are because the world is where we are. So yes, you can go back to the way that it used to be, but can you survive doing that? Probably not.
Yeah. Yeah. But not all times are they saying, oh, we saw their social media, let's go see them live.
Very true.
It ain't
Yeah.
there.
No, very
Which
true.
happens a lot of the time.
Absolutely.
Not all the time, but there are several comics who, I like to keep my ear to the ground, and I've gone and watched several comics big on social media, and then you get there and it's some stand up and then a lot of crowd work, and then sometimes it's literally, all right, it's the crowd work portion of the show, and then they just like prompt the crowd work. I saw one recently. Oh my gosh, this guy's like super known for crowd work.
Yeah.
And by the way, selling out shows, moving tickets, like these comics are killing it, and their fans love them.
Absolutely.
And they're making money, and they're happy. Like, the fans are happy with the experience, the comic, like, there's no fault here. I'm I skew in Bill's point of view of just like, man, don't you just want to be good and just murder all the time from like a that perspective. But like you said, the medium is evolving or devolving. You can look at it either way. Progressing or regressing. It's what you want it to be. We're now game show hosts more than stand-up comedians. But there was basically, I guess some of the people in there didn't want to be crowd worked. So he was like trying to do crowd work with him. And the lady was like, I didn't consent to crowd work.
That's so funny. And here's the thing. There's probably so used to it because now when you walk into a lot of comedy shows, there's usually like a thing on like a consent form that says if you walk in here, you are consenting to crowd work, basically, because this comedian does crowd work.
Yeah,
And
or being
so
filmed.
we're being
Because comics will
filmed
have a camera on stage with them now, just filming the audience. You know,
Yeah, so basically, it's like a legal document that basically says if you enter into the space, you are now being recorded, and anything you use, we can use, or anything you say can be used for the sake of, crowd work. But it's like, I actually wonder if that might come and bite us comedians in the back when people are just like, all right, I'm tired of going to shows where everything is crowd work, and I just want to hear something funny rather than what kind of job this dude has.
Oh, dude, I saw a clip one time that made me cringe where it was a comic trying to do crowd work to the front row, and then the audience member was like, "Oh, the other comic already asked me that." And they were like, "Oh, well now I'm asking you." And they like doubled down on trying to crowd work this person that was not wanting to be crowd worked, asking the same question the comic before them asked. And you could tell it was like a younger comic.
Yeah.
And it can just become a crutch or a bad habit. But gosh, if it's working and it's selling tickets, it's hard to tell a comic, come on, pay your dues, hate yourself for 10 years, get bitter, and then, it's so tough to, hate yourself on the road, stay at a Motel 6,
For sure.
eating sardines and, with a spork. They can't. So it was an interesting perspective to hear, Bill say that. And, Bill and I are on a first name basis. So, he told me actually to play. He's like, hey, Joel, would you play that clip on your podcast? Let these kids know the truth.
That's a pretty good impression.